I mean, if you're taking existing premises and it's got fit out,
Yep.
that's the ideal for most people.
Yeah, it's like the gold standard.
That's the gold standard, is what people want.
How's the market generally at the moment? Like if you're a tenant looking for space?
It's tenant looking for space. It's probably a good time to look.
Yep.
Because there is more stock coming up.
Yeah, cool.
Um,
And is it like
in the smaller space, F&B, those markets, large format, still pretty tight.
Yep. Yeah, sure. We noticed that we were looking around for some large format the other day, and there's very little.
Very little.
Yeah, in the main centres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People do think there'll be more stock coming up this year.
Yep.
Just in certain sectors, hit harder than others.
Yep.
So we do predict that some stock will come up during the year.
Yeah, cool. And what about if you're a retailer, maybe looking for smaller spaces and main urban areas and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there's space available. I expect in these sort of challenging times, the owners actually want more guarantees.
Okay. Yeah, sweet. So they might be a little bit stricter on like security structures.
Yeah, because they've also, the banks, if they've got a mortgage,
Yep.
the banks are doing the DD on the tenants as well.
Oh yeah, that's interesting, eh?
So they're pushing back and needing bank guarantees.
Yep.
And then smaller operators, especially if you're new, you go to your bank and they'll go,
Not that
we're
keen, eh?
not that keen, or they want to see a full business plan.
Yeah, okay.
So it's one of those catch-22s actually in the good times.
Yeah.
People are just a little bit more relaxed.
That's real interesting, eh? And so if you're a retailer at the moment looking for space, you might have a good, reasonable selection of space, but you also need to have a bit more stuff ready to go.
The checklist for new retailers or the smaller retailers is to make sure you've got your funding in place.
Yep.
So whether that's bank or from selling another business.
Yep.
So that's essential. Also making sure you've got your consultants and your designers and you're aware of those costs.
Yeah, okay. Like fit out costs.
Fit out costs, designer cost. I mean, a building consent on a small unit is probably going to be sort of 30 to 50,000.
Yeah, okay.
Just
the
the
consent,
plans and
the
the
paper.
consents.
Yeah, crazy.
And I heard the other day a comment of getting gas into a premises was $25,000. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, especially some of that specialist stuff, right, that you might need for hospo. And
I mean, if you're taking existing premises and it's got fit out, that's the ideal for most people.
Yeah, it's like the gold standard.
That's the gold standard, is what people want.
Yep.
But in certain cases, that's not. You're going to have to take something that's got shell.
Yep.
So it's understanding and also the time it takes.
Yep.
So, building consents are meant to be 28 days. It takes normally 3 months. So it's going through those timelines. It's sort of step back and actually make sure you've talked to a designer and you've got an idea of what the cost is going to be.
Yep.
And they will know roughly what the fit out cost will be.
Yeah.
You're aware of the timelines of how long it's going to take to open.
Yep.
Because if you sign a lease that starts in 6 weeks, it's going to take you 3 to 5 months before you open.
Yeah. It's like cash burn straight away.
Yeah. So we tell everyone like straight away, if you haven't got a designer, go and talk to one.
Yep.
A lot of people have, my brother's a builder.
Yeah.
But that won't get through a lot of design guidelines on newer developments, which.
Oh, true, right. Yeah, so newer developments, they'll require more documentation,
100%.
Professional documentation.
Yeah, everything needs to be ticked off from both a design angle and all the way through to compliance.
Yeah, okay. It's actually, it's definitely one of those ones that you need to put a lot of thinking into and get some of that advice on the coal face before you just start randomly going out.
And then a lot of people, they're shocked at how much a fit out will cost.
Yeah.
So, if you're fully aware, so then your target, if you've only got $100,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but in terms of fit out, it gets you nothing.
Yeah.
You'll just be targeting properties that has existing fit out that you can retrofit.
Yeah.
So it's having all those boxes ticked before you even go to market.
I think as well it's understanding the properties that are in the market, particularly some of those more interesting opportunities that might have the fit out, where you could strike out a huge amount of cost and time and effort. And what about in the larger format space, right? So that market's still very, very tight for space. Yeah. What's the sentiment amongst tenants at the moment?
Well, sort of half the tenants are doing really well.
Yeah.
Or exceptionally good retailers.
Yeah.
And then there's the other half that
finding things hard
and some of which you can read the press and go onto the New Zealand Stock Exchange and
like have
you can pick and choose or have a look around their stores. And you'll see the bigger purchases, sofas, bedding, computers. If you can put it off a year,
Yeah,
Do
people
I need a
sort
new
of are at the
sofa?
moment.
Nah, actually I'll wait another year. But then you've got the other side of the coin is you've got immigrants coming in who need to buy a new bed or if they're renting. So
Yeah,
but
okay.
they may go for the lower.
So it's almost like the so you've got the cost of living sort of issues that we've got,
Yeah.
but then you've also got the contrast with high migration.
Yeah.
So even within certain categories, you'd be getting different.
If we
performance
didn't
there.
have the immigration, our retail figures would be
yeah,
pretty
but
shocking.
grim.
I mean, a good comment a F&B retailer told me, or more grab and go,
Yep.
was the market's patchy.
Yeah,
So you have a
yeah.
great Saturday, and then Sundays drops off a cliff. So it's quite hard to judge.
And then what about if you think about rents at the moment, right? What's the general outlook on rents? Or say if you've got a retailer who's coming up for a rent review or something like that, what are they likely to face?
I would say rents are sort of holding up,
Yep.
but that may be sort of hidden with some incentives in the background.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're not seeing rents falling,
Yep.
unless you're in a suburban area where there's 10 vacant shops and someone
Yeah,
just
like
goes,
completely
"Look,
grim.
I would do
Yeah.
I have a 2-year view. 2 years rent is better than no rent,
Yep.
and then I'll look at what the future is in 2 years' time. So
Yeah,
kick the
okay.
can down the road.
And so it's kind of similar to, I guess, the office sector in some ways, where in certain parts we've seen face rents holding up, but then bit more incentives at
Yeah.
play. And
Sort of hidden in the background to
yeah,
because yields have increased.
yep,
Owners are looking to protect.
yeah,
the
project
values.
value some way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And final question for you, Chris. What would be your main tip for tenants this year if they're thinking about their property?
The two things is make sure the shop looks good
Yeah, okay.
and service.
Yeah, okay.
Service is, I think it's sort of number one.
Like sort of differentiator.
Differentiate. If you go into a restaurant and there's 3 people sitting in the corner talking to themselves,
Yeah.
and there's no one around you, if someone comes out, how's your day?
Yeah.
Making sure. So and that service comes with training. So
Yeah.
you need your training, but as soon as you go, when you go to the States, they're great at retailing. Someone's at you as soon as you walk through the door.
Oh, we were just over there, right? And it's definitely noticeable, the service culture over
Yeah.
there. And I guess some of that's due to the tipping structures, but then I think some of it's just due to the training systems.
Training systems. I mean, if you go into a shoe shop, someone's there straight away.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they'll
you
help
go to like Chick-fil-A or something
Yeah.
like that, and they're all over you.
Yeah, so I think that will differentiate yourself. It's making sure your property, if you go in, there's leaves on the floor and it's just a bit grubby
Yeah.
compared to, I was in Cambridge the other day and there was a shop opening up and a lady was out there sweeping all the leaves from outside the shop. She was giving
Yeah,
the
yeah.
windows. It looks a beautiful, clean shop.
Yeah.
Rather than, that's not my issue.
Yeah,
A few leaves on the
Someone
ground.
else's problem. It's
So,
the cleaners.
It's
yeah.
the cleaners or the council. So they're the tips.
Yep.
And then I expect it's looking at your cost structure. So again, if you're F&B, do you have avocados on in summer when they're cheap, and you take them off during winter and
Yeah,
go with
okay.
a
Bit more
product that's
seasonal.
all seasonal,
Yeah.
and it's looking into the costings of each
Yeah,
product
it's
line.
just being a little bit more careful about what you're doing,
100%.
right? Yeah.
So it's tough being a retailer.
Yep.
The good ones do well, and they understand all these.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, thanks very much for chatting, Chris. Been
worries.
awesome just chat about the sector. And if you do want to learn more about what's happening in the retail sector, feel welcome to reach out to Chris and the team. I'm sure you guys would love to have a chat.
Cheers.
Yes,
Pleasure.
Ciao.
Thank you.